Have you ever wondered if you're truly ready for union? You've done the healing, the inner work, the surrender, but something still feels uncertain. The twin flame journey isn't just about waiting for divine timing. It's about becoming the version of yourself that aligns with union, and when the feminine steps fully into her power, the entire dynamic shifts. But how do you know if you've reached that point? What are the unmistakable signs that you're energetically prepared for this next phase? In today's video, we'll uncover the truth about readiness, the key shifts that signal transformation, and how your energy directly influences the masculine. If you've ever felt stuck or questioned whether you're close to union, this is exactly what you need to hear. Drop a comment below. I am ready for my highest path, to affirm your energy shift and claim your power. If this message resonates, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Let's dive in. What it truly means to be ready for union. Being ready for union isn't just about longing for your counterpart or believing that the time has come. It's about an internal shift that transforms everything. Many in the feminine energy think they are ready because they've done the healing, released attachment, and surrendered to the journey. But true readiness isn't a checklist. It's a state of being that radiates from within. So, how do you know if you've genuinely reached this stage? Have you ever felt moments of peace, only for doubt to creep in again? One of the biggest indicators of readiness is the absence of urgency. When the feminine is truly prepared for union, she no longer seeks external validation from the masculine. She isn't watching for signs, counting days, or waiting for a message. Instead, she is fully immersed in her own life, living her purpose and trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This doesn't mean she doesn't desire the union. It means she no longer needs it to feel whole. Have you reached a point where the connection no longer feels like a weight, but instead a natural part of your journey? Another key sign is emotional stability. In the earlier stages of the journey, the feminine often experiences emotional highs and lows. One moment feeling deeply connected, the next overwhelmed by doubt or frustration. But when she is ready, these waves settle. She still feels deeply, but her emotions no longer control her. She understands that separation is an illusion, and that her energy alone is enough to shift the connection. She no longer reacts impulsively to the masculine's silence or distance, because she knows that her own energy sets the foundation for the entire dynamic. True readiness also shows up as an unwavering trust in divine timing. Many feminines say they trust the process, but deep down, they still resist it. They ask, when will it happen? Or, why is it taking so long? But when the feminine is truly prepared, she stops fighting the timing and embraces it fully. She recognizes that every delay is a part of the plan, preparing both counterparts for a deeper, more sustainable connection. She no longer fears missing out or believes that time is running out. She knows that union happens at the exact moment it is meant to. This stage of readiness is not about perfection. It's about balance. The feminine isn't free of all wounds, doubts, or challenges, but she no longer lets them define her. She steps into her power, knowing that her energy alone is enough to shift the course of the connection. And when she reaches this state, the entire dynamic begins to change in ways she never expected. When the feminine truly steps into her power, everything shifts, not just within her, but in the entire energy of the connection. This isn't about acting strong on the surface. It's about an unshakable inner transformation that radiates outward. Have you ever felt like you were growing but still trapped in old cycles? The moment the feminine fully embraces her true energy, those cycles break. But how do you know if you've truly stepped into this power? One of the first unmistakable signs is emotional sovereignty. The feminine no longer lets the masculine's actions dictate her inner state. If he pulls away, she doesn't spiral into fear or overanalyze his silence. She trusts. She doesn't chase, beg for clarity, or obsess over his next move. Instead, she holds her ground, knowing that her energy sets the pace of the connection. This shift isn't just about confidence, it's about an energetic knowing that she is whole, regardless of what happens externally. Have you noticed moments where you no longer react the way you once did? Another powerful sign is that the feminine stops seeking answers outside of herself. In the earlier stages, she may have watched endless tarot readings, searched for signs, or depended on external confirmations. But when she steps into her power, she becomes her own source of clarity. She no longer needs validation from outside sources because she trusts her intuition fully. This doesn't mean she never looks for guidance, but she no longer feels lost without it. She understands that every answer she needs is already within her. A major shift also happens in how she uses her energy. The feminine no longer pours all of her focus into the masculine or the union. Instead, she redirects that energy into herself, her purpose, and her joy. She begins to attract new opportunities, deepens her passions, and thrives in areas of life she once neglected. This isn't a distraction. its alignment. She realizes that the more she lives fully, the more effortlessly the connection unfolds. Have you started feeling a renewed excitement for life beyond the twin flame journey? Perhaps the most powerful sign is inner peace, no matter what stage the connection is in. Whether in separation, silence, or union, the feminine is at peace with the process. She no longer fights it, doubts it, or fears losing it. She has surrendered, not in weakness, but in the ultimate strength of trusting the divine timing of her journey. This is when everything begins to shift, because when the feminine finally stops waiting, the energy becomes unstoppable. When the feminine truly steps into her power, the masculine feels it. Whether he realizes it or not, this shift isn't just emotional or psychological, it's energetic. The dynamic between them begins to change in ways that are undeniable. Have you noticed that when you focus on yourself, he seems to feel it even from a distance? That's not a coincidence. When the feminine stops chasing, stops waiting, and starts truly living, the masculine is forced to confront his own journey in a way he never had to before. One of the biggest changes is that the masculine begins to feel the void of the feminine's old energy. When she was in a state of longing, overgiving, or waiting, he subconsciously relied on that. He could feel her energy holding space for him, making it easier to delay his own growth. But when that energy shifts, when the feminine fully claims her power, he senses it immediately. Suddenly, the comfort of knowing she's always there, waiting, is gone. And this triggers something deep within him, the realization that he must now step up, or risk losing the connection entirely. Have you ever noticed that the moment you detach, he reaches out? That's the energy shift in action. Another major effect is that the masculine begins to mirror the feminine's transformation. The twin flame connection is built on reflection, and when one counterpart evolves, the other is naturally pulled toward their own growth. As the feminine rises in her confidence, alignment, and purpose, the masculine starts to feel an internal push to do the same. He may not understand it consciously, but suddenly he feels a need to change, whether it's breaking old habits, facing his fears, or even questioning his current path in life. This transformation also removes a lot of the fear and resistance that the masculine carries. Many masculines struggle with deep-seated fears of commitment, vulnerability, or emotional depth. But when the feminine stops clinging to the idea of union and simply radiates her own power, the pressure disappears. Without the energetic pull of need or expectation, the masculine feels a new sense of freedom. one that ironically makes him feel safer to move toward the feminine instead of away from her. Most importantly, when the feminine steps into her power, the masculine finally sees her differently, not as someone waiting for him, but as someone he must rise to meet. He recognizes her as a force of her own, not just the counterpart in his journey, but a sovereign energy that cannot be controlled, delayed, or taken for granted. This realization is often the turning point, the moment when he begins to awaken on a deeper level. This shift isn't about forcing the masculine to act. It's about the feminine reclaiming herself so fully that she becomes an energetic catalyst for his transformation. And when that happens, everything begins to move in ways that were once unimaginable. When the feminine truly steps into her power, the entire energy of the connection shifts. This is the moment where everything that once felt stagnant, confusing, or unbalanced begins to realign in ways that are almost impossible to ignore. Have you ever felt like no matter what you did, the masculine wasn't moving, like the connection was stuck in an endless cycle of waiting, longing, and uncertainty? That's because for a long time, the energy was centered in expectation rather than alignment. But when the feminine shifts her focus inward, when she stops waiting and starts fully embracing her own journey, that's when everything changes. The first and most powerful shift is that the feminine stops seeking outside of herself. She no longer looks to the masculine for validation, love, or a sense of completion. Instead, she finds it within. This inner wholeness creates a completely different energetic frequency, one that no longer radiates longing or uncertainty, but instead exudes confidence, peace, and self-sufficiency. And the masculine feels this. Whether he realizes it or not, he senses the difference. The energy that once pulled him into resistance or avoidance now invites him forward. Have you ever noticed that when you finally stop chasing, he suddenly reaches out? That's the shift in action. Another major transformation happens in how the feminine interacts with the connection itself. Instead of being emotionally reactive, she becomes energetically neutral. That doesn't mean she stops caring. It means she stops reacting from a place of fear, anxiety, or impatience. She no longer overanalyzes his every move, waits for a message, or tries to interpret signs. Instead, she moves with trust, allowing things to unfold naturally. And this is powerful because the moment she stops feeding the energy of uncertainty, the masculine starts to feel the space she has created. And in that space, something shifts within him. Perhaps the most surprising change is that the feminine no longer sees the connection as her ultimate goal. This is where true liberation happens. She realizes that union is not about waiting for the masculine to catch up. It's about stepping into her own divine path, with or without him. She starts making choices based on her own growth, her own happiness, and her own expansion. She follows her purpose without hesitation, and as she does, she becomes magnetic, not just to the masculine, but to everything in her life. Opportunities arise, synchronicities increase, and she starts attracting exactly what aligns with her highest self. This shift is not about letting go of the masculine. It's about letting go of the need to control the outcome. And ironically, when the feminine fully surrenders, the energy flows in a way it never did before. The masculine, now free from the weight of expectation, starts to feel the pull in a new way. He starts to recognize her as the powerful, whole being she has always been. Not someone waiting for him, but someone he must rise to meet. The energy shift changes everything, not just the connection, but the feminine herself. She no longer feels powerless, uncertain, or stuck. Instead, she moves with confidence, clarity, and a deep knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. And that is the moment when the entire journey takes on a new, unstoppable momentum. At this point in your journey, everything is shifting. You're no longer in the space of waiting, questioning, or doubting. You're stepping into full alignment with yourself. But what happens next? How do you move forward without falling back into old patterns of uncertainty, longing, or emotional highs and lows? Have you ever felt like you've made progress, only to find yourself triggered by something unexpected? That's why understanding your next steps is so important. The first and most crucial step is to stay grounded in your own energy. When the feminine starts stepping into her power, it's easy to feel a surge of confidence, only to get thrown off balance the moment the masculine does something unexpected. Maybe he reaches out after a long period of silence, or maybe he pulls back just when you thought he was coming closer. These moments are tests. Can you hold your frequency no matter what he does? Can you remain steady in your energy instead of falling back into overthinking or seeking external validation? Next, deepening your self-trust becomes essential. This is where many get stuck. They feel strong until doubt creeps in. But here's the truth. If you are in alignment with your own growth, you cannot go wrong. Every step you take from a place of inner knowing is leading you exactly where you need to be. The key is to stop second-guessing yourself. The more you trust yourself, the more the energy around you shifts. And when your energy shifts, the dynamic of the entire connection follows. Another powerful step is to remain fully present in your own life. When you're deeply connected to yourself, you naturally stop obsessing over the timing of the union. You stop wondering when he'll come forward, when things will change, when the next shift will happen. Instead, you start experiencing your own life in a way you never have before. You pour energy into your passions, your purpose, your own personal expansion. And in doing so, you become even more magnetic, not just to your counterpart, but to everything that is aligned with your highest path. But perhaps the most transformative step of all is learning to trust divine timing. This journey is not about forcing anything into place. It's about allowing what is meant for you to unfold naturally. If the masculine is still navigating his own lessons, let him. If things feel slow, trust that they are moving in ways you cannot yet see. Your job is not to control the process. It's to align so fully with yourself that everything else falls into place as a result. So, what will you choose? Will you hold your power, trust your path, and step fully into alignment with yourself? Or will you allow old fears and doubts to pull you back into cycles that no longer serve you? The choice is always yours. And the moment you decide to walk forward with unwavering trust, the entire energy of your journey will shift in ways you never imagined. Are you ready to fully embrace your journey and trust in divine timing? Comment, "I choose alignment," to affirm your power and commitment to your path. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss insights on your twin flame journey. Your transformation is just beginning. Let's walk this path together.